by VolQuest on threes, Vol Networks, and our very good friend Brent Hubbs this morning as Tennessee hits the first of 2 bye weeks of the 2025 season. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, Ramon, 5 weeks in a row is too much for him. That's what you're telling me.
Exactly right.
He needed a bye week. Okay.
Exactly right. Yep.
I think he just called him soft in so many words.
Typical former athlete.
There you go.
Needs an off day.
Hey, Brent, we have a saying. Coach Mack and I always talk about this. If they were a player, given the chance, they'll always show you at some point they were a player.
I love it.
That ain't wrong.
I love it.
I love it. I'm sure Ramon has a big weekend of plans going on with his family. So I hope he travels safe, whatever he's doing.
Well, he was popping sparkling grape juice the other day, Brent, because his TW Hunter Bucks just won the middle school county championship, the offensive line that he coaches. So this is kind of like you go to Disney World after you win the Super Bowl. He's doing something to celebrate a middle school county championship.
Maybe he's going to Dollywood.
Yeah, for maybe. I love it. Going to go see a show and ride the Tennessee Tornado in celebration.
He's a big show guy.
He's a big show guy. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Brent, no coach has ever said this bye week comes at a bad time. But for Tennessee this year, it does feel like it really does come at a good time. Where is the health of this football team, starting with maybe some guys that were still playing through some things, Brent, specifically on the offensive line, Jesse Perry and Sam Pendleton? How have their practice habits or lack thereof looked this week, and how in jeopardy are they of maybe missing next weekend at this point?
I think both are going to be fine for Arkansas. I think both were held this week for precaution, and they put them in the walking boot just to help the ankles out. Both of them had pretty good ankle sprains. Both of them finished the game as offensive linemen do, and I asked Sam Pendleton walking through the complex. I said, are you all right? And he said, yeah. I said, well, that was the quickest trip to an injury tent I've ever seen. And he said, I told him, I said, you're not allowed to take my shoe off. Just put some tape over it because I got to go play.
Wow.
So I think it's one of those deals where both of them will be fine when they get to Arkansas. But if anybody had a bump or bruise of any note this week, they were not going to take any chances with them on the practice field. So Bryson Eason, Don Bailey, who played a bunch of snaps, they're smart with them. Obviously, the two offensive linemen you're being smart with. You're trying to give those top three receivers a little time to get their legs back, so you didn't beat them up and run them to death all week long as well. Kitzelman got a little time to kind of heal up because he's playing so many snaps. So there were a handful of guys. Arion Carter's another one who were just, hey man, catch your breath, get your legs. And I think it was important. I think this bye week came at a good time for Tennessee that way. So they should be as healthy maybe as they've been, with the exception of a couple of spots when they get into next week. Hobbs is going to be back, which will be big for the defensive interior. I know everybody wants to know about Jermod McCoy. He has not done anything team-wise, or did not do anything team-wise this week. So I'm still in a holding pattern with him. I know he's told some people he wants to play, plans to play against Arkansas, but at some point you got to go through practice at full speed for the full practice before I get into the idea that you're quote back. So we'll see where that's at when they hit the practice field after they get back in town on Monday.
So, Brent, at this point, looking ahead even past Arkansas, and if Jermod McCoy's goal is to be closer to full go on the third Saturday in October, how realistic is that when Tennessee goes to Tuscaloosa, they get even 50% of the snaps by Jermod McCoy at that point?
I don't think there's an answer to that question.
Okay.
I mean, and here's the reason why. I mean, he's got doctors, he's got trainers, and everybody's got to clear him to go. And he's got to be comfortable where he's at in terms of being able to return. He wants to play. I think the notion that some people put out there that he's mailing it in and he doesn't want to play is unfair. But he's got to be healthy. And what does healthy look like for this medical staff, for him, all the people surrounding him? Is healthy enough at 50%? Is healthy enough at 80%? I mean, what is healthy enough for him to be back out there to turn it loose and go play? And I just don't think we know the answer to that right now, which is why, I mean, he's doing more of it, but he's doing what he's been doing since August. He's got to hit somebody. He's got to be an 11 on 11. He's got to cut it loose before you can say he's going to be back to at any capacity. And right now, he's not been allowed to cut it completely loose.
Brent Hubbs joining us here on Ramon and Will. Brent, just a couple of things from your observations. What are maybe a couple of the most surprising things about Josh Heupel's Vols after a 4-1 start?
Oh, wow. There's a laundry list of them, but I mean, you got to start on offense, and you just don't have any idea what you're getting out of the transfer portal with Joey Aguilar. Now, you knew the tape and you knew he had played a bunch, but he got here at the end of May. How much could he learn the offense? How much could he become a leader on the team? How would he handle being at this league, making the elevation up? And he's been better than anybody thought he would be. I mean, his numbers to start the season are better than Hendon Hooker's numbers the first 5 games of the 2022 season, which is a record-setting offense. So it starts with him because he has been the key that's unlocked things offensively for Tennessee because he makes quick decisions. He processes very quickly. He can work the middle of the field. He can work outside. He throws a deep ball well and gives his guys a chance to go make a play. It starts with him. And then I'm going to stay on offense just because they were the unknown. And, the receiving core, I mean, Chris Brazzell was a guy who came in out of Tulane that everybody thought, okay, he'll be a nice fit for this system. And it just didn't happen for him last year. He was pretty average, to be honest with you. And, his 5-game heater right now is almost as good as any 5-game heater Jalen Hyatt had in 2022. Brazzell's making money every Saturday he plays. Joshua Joseph's on defense is improving his draft stock every Saturday he plays. We've not talked about Lance Hurd for 7 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever, which is the best news for Lance Hurd in terms of his future as well. So those are some of the positive surprises. If you're looking at it from the other side, defensively, they've given up more 20-yard plays than any of us expected them to give up. They've had a harder time getting off the field on 3rd down, and they've not set the edge well enough in the run game in 2 SEC games. And those were focal points this week in the bye week, and they'll be focal points next week, particularly that edge in the run game with Taylon Green, a mobile quarterback from Arkansas, coming to town.
Brent, you hit a couple of nails on the head of what I thought you might say. Let's go back to Chris Brazzell for a second because you're right. He's making bank every time he goes out there and does what he's done on this 5-game heater. Is maybe one of his best attributes is that he is becoming a combat catcher in this thing as big as he is?
It is. The interesting story and the backstory on him is he was a basketball player and played football, and he was little. He was not very tall. He played as a slot jitterbug, quick twitch receiver throughout high school. I mean, his freshman, sophomore year in high school, he was more of an inside little slot receiver, and he grew late. But once he grew, he had spent all of his time learning and developing as a kind of a quick twitch guy. So he learned how to run routes as an inside slot guy with really good feet because that was the only way he could get open because he wasn't big enough for jump balls and he wasn't big enough to kind of body anybody up. And now he's 6'4", you put him on the outside, and he's a much better route runner than most 6'4" guys are. A lot of 6'4" guys, long striders, they're that track guy who gets vertical and they have a hard time putting their foot in the ground and running, a shallow cross or a quick out or even a slant to some degree. He's a guy who's a better route runner than most people know because he learned how to run routes as a different style receiver than what he is now. There's still a level of physicality for him that he's going to need to continue to play with, and it's going to have to continue to develop. But people are going to look at his route running and his ability to run routes and go, wait a minute, we might be able to play him in a couple of different places at the next level, which is why he's making money.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest's on 3, our guest this morning on Ramon and Will. Brent, we finally got to see David Sanders late in the game, albeit in not ideal circumstances on last Saturday in Starkville. How confident is this staff now in his ability to go out there and start? Is it fair to say that now you go back to plan A, that if he'd been available for Syracuse, he would have been the starting right tackle in week 1?
Yeah, I think that's where you go. I mean, and why would you not? For a couple of reasons. One, he's very athletic. By the way, great play call on his first play in the game.
Yes.
Pull him. Just pull him and let him hit somebody, right?
Yes.
There's not a read. He's not trying to climb to the second level. All he's doing is trying to smash a smaller guy on the edge, which, to get your first contact out of the way was a really smart move by Tennessee. But you have a bunch invested in him. Okay, let's not dance around that or hide that. I mean, he did not come, you didn't brother-in-law deal that one. He cost you money. He was your best right tackle coming out of spring practice. He was your best right tackle and one of your best 5 throughout the entire fall camp. On Wednesday before you played your opener, he was your best right tackle and one of your best 5. Now he's back healthy. Why would he not be your best right tackle and one of your best 5? And I hate it for Sham Umarov because I think Sham's done a solid job playing in there at guard, but you're trying to get your best 5 on the field. And I think you're going to slide Jesse Perry inside to right guard. You're going to flip Wendell Moy back to left guard, and you're going to go back where you were 72 hours before your season opener when you got the shock of, you got the shock on Friday, 24 hours before your season opener that, hey, we're not going to have this guy. You're going to go back to who you thought you had when you got on an airplane to go to Atlanta and play Syracuse, I believe.
Brent, when you look at this weekend from a recruiting front, I know Tennessee assistants and Josh Heupel as well will be fanning out and covering a lot of ground, and players will go home and get a little bit of a weekend off. What is the primary focus of this weekend, Brent? Is it more looking ahead to the next class in 27? Are there battles that Tennessee feels like it needs to keep guys in the boat? What's kind of the headline, if you will, of the recruiting weekend for the staff at the moment?
It's a lot of seeing. It's a lot of going and seeing guys who, for the head coach, it's going and seeing guys who are committed. For assistant coaches, a lot of it's going and seeing guys in 27 and 28 class. So they were on the road last night. There's a lot of Thursday night games now. They'll all be on the road today. I think Josh Heupel's got 4 or 5 stops he's making today. So you're trying to capitalize on it as much as you can and make as much hay as you can when you have an open date and take advantage of it because guys are in the heart of their season. But for the head coach, it's about going and seeing a lot of committed guys. And then for the assistants, it's a little bit more about some 27s and 28s and continuing your evaluation process and go from there. Josh Heupel was in the mid-state last night. He'll start the day in Knoxville today. He'll end up in North Carolina, and then from North Carolina, he'll end up, I think, in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
Is where he'll finish out today as well. So going to be a busy guy. He's going to see a couple of guys in school locally that are committed, and then he'll go see Faison Brandon, who's out right now with a hand injury. He'll just see him at the school, and then he'll go to Atlanta and watch a couple guys play tonight as well. So busy time for him, busy time for all the assistants because everybody can be out, and you're trying to hit as many spots as you can hit.
Goodness, it sounds like he's got either the Lane Kiffin or James Franklin helicopter going around that many places in one day, Brent.
I don't think he's got the helicopter.
Yeah, okay.
But when you make $9 million a year and you're the head coach at Tennessee, you're not walking through a concourse hoping your connectors on time. So you start in Knoxville this morning, you drive around and make a couple stops, and then you take a private jet to Charlotte and you take a private jet to Atlanta. That's there are worse travel days for people around the country today.
No doubt.
That way.
No doubt. Not a bad way to live. Brent, wanted to ask on the way out, and I did not have this on my bingo card to be asking.
Okay.
And I thought that this was just a nothing hot board for an MLB managerial opening. And then as much as fans want to talk about it, Brent, I wanted to ask you, is there anything to Tony Vitello and the San Francisco Giants, or is this another example of Tennessee fan base maybe jumping the gun and stressing about something that they don't need to stress about too quickly?
Well, I mean, the reality is in 30 years of doing this, you never say never.
Sure.
Is where it's at. Would it be a way out of the box move for a baseball ops / GM guy to make his first major league managerial hire and go get a college coach, yeah, that would not be the norm based on the history of Major League Baseball. Is Tony Vitello well respected in Major League Baseball? Yes. Does he have relationships in Major League Baseball? Yes. He knows punter Buster Posey from the San Francisco Giants. They talk somewhat on the regular, from what I understand. They were together and visited with each other recently when the Rockies and the Giants played a series, and Tony was out visiting and seeing some of his former players. Have they had conversations in the last week or so? Yeah, I think they probably have. Does that mean Tony Vitello's leaving? No, I don't think it does. But the first time you say, there's nothing to that, you walk away, then, you look like a fool if something happens. So I don't think Tony minds his name being out there. Do I think he's going to stay in the college game ultimately? If you're making me say or guess this morning, my guess on that would be yes. I think he is. I think he stays at Tennessee. Do I think the Giants have some legitimate interest? I think they have interests or curiosities. I'm not saying he's at the top of their board, but yeah, I do think there's enough of a relationship there with their management team and their leadership that, they have some interest and intrigue there. But it's premature to say it's going to become anything. It's dumb on my part to say there's no chance it ever becomes anything. So We'll see.
He is Brent Hubbs of VolQuest's On 3 joining us this morning here on the show. Brent, enjoy the bye week. I appreciate you as always, and we will get back to previewing a Tennessee football game day next Friday.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
You too, brother.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest's On 3 joining us, presented by Ascend Federal Credit Union, your financial partner for every stage of life. Brent has seen enough incredible things, unprecedented things for Tennessee coaches to ever say never, but I think that is that should make Tennessee fans feel probably a little bit better about that situation.
Yeah, it sounds more it doesn't sound impossible. It doesn't sound super probable.
Exactly.
Let's put it somewhere in there. But he's right. You do this as long as he has covering that program, don't count anything out, even if it sounds wacky.
Absolutely right.